Well, good morning, my friends. Grace and peace be with you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. This morning I have a couple of short stories to share with you. It seems there was a guy who had been marooned on a desert island. And while he had all of the food and the materials he could ever need, he was pretty bored. Maybe we can relate right now. And so, being a builder by trade, he set about to build himself a town. And then years go by and a boat comes and he's rescued. But before he leaves, he takes the captain on a little tour of this community that he had created for himself. And he shows him the town hall, and he shows him the school and the store and the restaurant. And the last building he takes him to is his church. And the captain is just so impressed by all of this stuff he has built. But as they walk out into the main street to leave, he looks down at the end and sees another church building. And so the captain is puzzled and says to him, I don't understand. We just saw your church. What's that building down there? And the man says to him, oh, pay that no mind. That's the church that I used to belong to. Okay. Cute, but not a side splitter. This next one's a little bit shorter. After Sunday service, a woman comes up to the pastor and says to him, Reverend, I just want you to know that I really didn't enjoy the worship service this morning. And the pastor smiles at her and says to her, that's okay, madam. We weren't worshiping you. Okay. So, neither of those are particularly funny. And so you're wondering to yourself, is there a point to this? Is he going somewhere with this? Well, you all know me well enough to know that the answer to that is yes. Of course there's a point to this. The point is, all of us have at one point or another been hurt by someone else. And sometimes that actually happens in the church. The church is a human institution, and so it's full of, well, people. And people, as you know, make mistakes. People sometimes don't treat one another well, and the church has the capacity, because people invest so much in it, to be a great, wonderful resource, but on the flip side, also to do some pretty significant harm. And that has happened, sadly, for many people throughout history. And yet, the church, at its best, is a vehicle for helping people to live into their faith. We're called not to an individual faith. Jesus didn't call one disciple. Jesus called 12 disciples. Christianity, as I'm fond of saying, is a team sport. And so you can't compete in a team sport unless you're part of a team. Where am I going with this? This message really isn't even for the Epiphanites, those of you who are watching this, because I'm hoping that you have found your team, you have found your tribe, and you have a faith community where you are cared for, contribute toward, and called on your stuff and held accountable. Our community is a place where we can practice our faith together. But we also know friends, family, colleagues, people who don't have a faith home, who are outside of that team, who are on the outside looking in. They're the ones who need this message. And so, this morning's message is the Evangelism Challenge. I challenge each of you to find a way to share this message with someone who needs to know it, who needs to know that God truly loves them. And whether they've been hurt by a church, or whether they didn't like the coffee at one particular church, or the paint in the bathroom was the wrong color, um, those are but human failings. When Jesus was talking to the disciples, he said to them, if someone slaps you on your right cheek, turn and offer them the other one. And so, brothers and sisters, if you have been harmed by church, or feel that you have been ostracized, or that you don't belong, don't give up. Find a place, find a faith community where you are fed, where you feel love, where you can be fed and also challenged. Those places do in fact exist, and even in this online world, there are new and emerging ways where you can be part of a virtual community. Now, if you're in Las Vegas, we would love it if you came to Epiphany Church, but this is just between us. My job really isn't to grow Epiphany Church. That's what they pay me for, but shh, my job really is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what I'm doing. That's what I invite you to do. Find a way to demonstrate God's love for other people, to lead them to a community where they can be loved, where they can be challenged, where they can contribute their time and their efforts and their love. There's a wonderful psalm that Dietrich Bonhoeffer was fond of, and I love it. I'm going to give that to you. How pleasant it is when brethren can live in a community of peace and harmony. At its best, that's what the church aspires to be. It's never going to be perfect. Why? Because we're there. If you and I are in it, it can't be perfect. But boy, we can try. And we can try, and we can try. And when it does hurt us, and it will from time to time, we too can turn that other cheek and trust that God has it all in hand. Tomorrow morning, my sisters and brothers, we are doing something unique, at least in the history of our church. At 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we will hold our first ever drive-in service. You drive to our parking lot, there'll be attendants who help you park, you'll stay in your cars. The service will be conducted on the back of a flatbed trailer. Yeah, we're nothing if not high-tech. But we are going to broadcast it through your FM radio. It should be a wonderful opportunity for us to worship together. Even though we can't be together, we can't touch one another, we're going to stay with the windows up. We are hungry for that contact. And so come and be part of that 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. But if that's not possible for you, if you're just not there yet, or if you're part of our virtual congregation and you're not in Las Vegas, then at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are going to have a live stream Eucharist service from our church, as we have these past several weeks. So you have two opportunities to worship with us tomorrow. Live at the drive-in, or live stream at 10 o'clock. I hope to see you at one of those, and I hope that God continues to shine his blessing upon you. Know that you are loved. Know that God cares deeply for each and every one of you, and know that there is a faith community out there that can serve you while you serve God. Blessings.